Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first Sunday morning virtual Dharma service here at Windward Buddhist Temple. It has been many months since we last had any kind of service here, and so we're very happy to have this for all of us. I hope that all of you are doing well, keeping healthy during these last 5 months, especially since the coronavirus cases has been soaring recently. To start the service, will you please join me in the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana. This is found on page 7 of the Red Service book. The sutra for today will be verses Reaffirming the Vows. This is found on page 117 of the Red Service book. light brighter than sun and moon, all shining, all heavenly lights, giving my virtues to all, not forsaking anyone. I will proclaim the Dharma like the roar of a great lion, bowing before all Buddhas, steadfastly gaining virtues, with wisdom fulfilling my vows. I shall be a guide to all, like the wisdom of my teacher. May my wisdom also shine all throughout the universe and illumine one and all. If I shall fulfill these vows, may all lands tremble with joy from the heavens. Wondrous floods rain down upon all the lands. Let's put our hands together and recite the golden chain of love together. I am a link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I would try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I would try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Let's put our hands together once again in reverence as I read from the two gateways of entrance and emergence written by Shinan Shonin. Unhindered light is great compassion. This light is the wisdom of all the Buddhas. In contemplating that world of the Pure Land, it is boundless and vast and infinite like space. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. You know, we've all been to airports in the past and witnessed this very interesting phenomenon, especially on overseas flights. When the time people begin to gather and sit nice and quietly on whatever chairs that are available, and sometimes getting up to use the bathroom or taking a walk around or get something to munch on. But as soon as the announcement is made that it will start boarding in 5 minutes, even though they say that they will be boarding by zones, and that the first to board are those in wheelchairs and adults with children under 2 years of age. Invariably, there's a mad rush to get in line. There is no room for wheelchair passengers to pass, and children are often practically trampled on. People give each other the stink eye if they're perceived to cut in the line. We all know that we're going to get on the plane, and we all have our assigned seats, and the plane will not take off until the last passenger is on the plane, seated and securely fastened with their seat belts. There is a deep sense of discomfort, maybe, or a sense that they will be left out. Or maybe they want to get on quickly so they'll have room to store their carry-on baggages close by. Whatever the motivation is, I think, may be triggered by a sense of me first, and not a sense of togetherness that we all learn in Buddhism. Witness the mad rush to Costco and other big box stores to buy and hoard toilet paper and water, even to the point of taking goods off of someone else's cart during an ongoing pandemic, and most recently, before the impending visit by Douglas. There was an interesting article written by Reverend Richard Tennis in an issue of the Kailua newsletter, and it started out by relating past commercials that bothered him and its influence on how we see the world. For example, it is normal for people to say, let's get this over with, get on with our lives. And we say this all the time. However, if we look at the Buddhist teachings, that doesn't make too much sense. He was talking about a commercial about a certain medication for diabetes. Of course, if a person has diabetes, it is essential and convenient to have the necessary medicine to stay well. In fact, it is often a matter of life and death. And so we can be grateful that there are companies that provide these services for us. The commercial assumed that having diabetes and getting the supplies needed to treat it were not part of life. So the commercial was assuming that most of the people watching it believed that real life consists only of things we like, things that are fun, pleasant, convenient, and happy. On the other hand, being sick, struggling with problems, losing loved ones, being depressed and lonely, they're all stuff that we have to just get through so that we can get on with our life. We all have been taught to think like this, to hurry through painful and unpleasant things in life so that we can get back to our real or normal life. But when we do get back to our real or normal lives, what is the life that we're living? The Buddha taught that the reason we suffer is because of our attachments to things which can never really satisfy us. We want more and more. We are driven by commercials, and they control our lives. It is so obvious in our lives, in our society, and in our economy. Everything is driven by wanting more and more. And to want more means that we quickly become dissatisfied with what we have. Our lives are based on wanting more, getting to the next goal, getting to where we want to be. All too often, the effect of our endless wanting and craving, with the inevitable dissatisfaction and frustration that follows, is that we become frenzied with anxiety and filled with despair. Countless people live with this anxiety and suffering. Today, 13 1/4 per 100,000 people die each year from suicide, and the numbers are going up, especially in the young. Suicide is among 3 leading causes of death among those 15 to 44 years of age. This is driven by wants which simply cannot be fulfilled. Those of you that may have watched Kiku television years ago, in episodes of Sokoga Shiritai, may remember in one of the episodes that they went to this huge department store somewhere in Japan, and people were lined up on the sidewalk nearing the store for blocks and blocks around, waiting for the store to open, because they're going to have this huge sale of all items. So as soon as the store opened, there was a mad rush, and I mean literally a mad rush to get into the store to buy whatever items they wanted. It was like a feeding frenzy in the wild. Feeding frenzy occurs when predators are overwhelmed by the amount of prey that's available, and they buy anything and everything that comes their way. Just like in the department store, they rush in, buy anything that their eyes can see, and go home satisfied. A reporter asked someone if they got what they wanted, but she said, "No, I didn't, but at least I got to buy something." But we very often talk about this problem of suffering, the insatiable greed and needs that pervades our everyday life, not truly realizing that the lessons here is not about someone else, but it is about us and how we are living our lives. Sometimes we may tend to get smug and behave like a so-called religious person. There was a Jodo Shinshu minister that once said that he really disliked people who had the so-called smell of religion. He said, just as miso that smells like miso is not first-class miso, a Buddhist who smells like a Buddhist is not an authentic one. He cautions us to just be our ordinary self. He said to forget about all the artificial labels and identities such as Buddhist minister, but to be a so-called naked person and seek life-to-life contact whenever possible with people. The essence of Shoni's teaching is the importance of being an ordinary human being. He said not to externally show your wise, good, and intelligent face because you internally possess vanity and falsehood. It would be better for you to be looked upon as a stealer of cattle than as a pious person. We have all heard the story of the birth of Shakyamuni Buddha and the legend recalling that he took 7 steps and his declaration. The 6 steps being the realm of delusion, and the 6 realms of existence, and the 7th, the means of transcending them. So the 6 steps then symbolizes our world of self-centeredness, and the recognition of this is to transcend self-centeredness. Let me relate this story to you. A young couple moved into a new home and soon began to argue about what color carpet to get. The wife wanted to get brown, but the husband preferred gray. So one accused the other of having bad taste and vice versa. This was followed by a disagreement about the size of table that they wanted to have in the dining room. They then argued about the color of the curtains. The more they argued, the more upset they became and went to bed without resolving the issue. The following morning, as the husband was due at the airport for a business trip, they decided to wait until he came back. So he rushed to the airport and got on the plane in time. The airplane started to take off. And as the plane climbed higher and higher, he looked down through the window. He could see the city below and could locate various landmarks in the city. He could see his house, which looked like a small dot. He thought, oh, I can see my house down there. Then a strange feeling came over him. He remembered the arguments he had with his wife the previous night. He thought to himself, what was I doing in that house last night? Yes, I was arguing with my wife. About what? Yes, I was arguing with her about the choice of colors for the carpet and the draperies and the size of the table, and I was so upset. But now, looking down from the airplane, all those arguments seem so trivial. There were important issues when he was in that house, but now they seem so small and insignificant. Now when he saw the house from the sky, the house looked so small. Everything in the house seemed so small and unimportant. Now he realized how selfish he was in that tiny little house, and he felt sorry for what he said to his wife. He thought it doesn't matter whether the carpet was brown or gray, whether the table was small or large. When he was in his house, he was in the world of self-love and self-centeredness. However, he was not aware of it. And now, from a different perspective, from high above, he could see the pettiness of the world he was in, because now he was outside of it. When he was in it, he could not see it. But since he was now outside of it, it became very clear to him. So to learn Buddhism is to gain an outside perspective. The Buddha's perspective that allows us to see ourselves in all its pettiness. They are the teachings of the Buddha and our teachers. By deeply listening to the Buddha's teachings, we will have a clear view of ourselves. Isn't this what Buddhism is all about after all? The fact that we live in a world of self-love will never change as long as we're alive. There will never be a time when arguments with our spouses or fellow humans will cease because of our self-centered way of thinking. But because we have this outside perspective that allows us to see the pettiness of ourselves, this makes a tremendous difference. If we remain within the self, or the world of self-love constantly, will not be able to see things objectively. Within the self, everything looks so precious and important. But if we look at it from the Buddha's perspective and see the self from the outside, we are then able to see and realize the pettiness of our thoughts, and we can laugh about it. Recognition of our pettiness, although not a good experience, can also be a delightful one as we realize the wonderful teachings of the Buddha. In this life, we also recognize and realize that the teachings of the Buddha are actually all around us constantly. All we have to do is to allow ourselves to get out of the box, so to speak. We are able to feel and experience the Buddha's infinite love and compassion that is surrounding us at all times, everywhere, wherever we are, and in virtually all situations. Each and every day, as we go through our lives, whether our life is permeated with sadness or that is full of happiness and joy, whether we are ill or healthy, fortunate or unfortunate, let us open ourselves and be bathed in the infinite compassion that is Amida Buddha, surrounding us with love as we realize the preciousness of every moment of our lives. Thank you all for listening, and now let's put our hands together once again in reverence as I read these words. Obstructions of karmic evil turn into virtues. The more the obstructions, the more the virtues. Like bits of rubble, changing into gold. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. We will now close the service with the Gatha Flying Free, followed by the Nembutsu.
Where
Well, thank you all for watching our Windward Buddhist Temple Dharma service on video. Please keep well, stay healthy, and hope to see you again next Sunday. The speaker will be Jennifer Kaneohe. Thank you very much. Goodbye.